What's going on, everyone? It's Tay, aka Slay, and I'm talking about Lele Pons today. Lele is not somebody that I've ever really spoken about on this channel, but I saw the first episode in The Secret Life of Lele Pons today, and I feel very compelled to talk about it. I'm not exactly sure why, but I listened to the pull on my soul. I believe that this episode in this whole series is going to be extremely important, not just for Lele, but for her audience. The fact that this episode that I watched today hit YouTube 6 days ago and I've seen nothing about it is probably what's compelling me to make this video now, because after watching the video twice, I believe more people need to be aware of it and more people need to be speaking up about it, because it is so powerful and it is so moving. I just don't know why there's radio silence around it. I am a 38-year-old woman, as most of you all know, so I'm not Lele's target audience. So I never really got into her. I never got into Vine, first of all. I knew of her because I had watched content about her content. I watched videos from Leon Lush, Michael Prasad, Nerd City, all talking about how her content is lazy, her comedy is always off, it's very unfunny, her production value should be more than it is given the money she takes in, and the people in the comments and all of that stuff. So I had seen videos about her, but I had never watched her herself. But for some reason, when this video came up in my recommended today, something told me to watch. It could have been that as a person, myself, I am fascinated by psychology and disorders because I have so many people in my life that suffer from things similar and to the same extent, possibly, as Lele. I have people in my life who have severe ADHD, which Lele says that she has. I too struggle with depression. I know people who have Tourette's. Lele opens this episode by saying her name and saying she has OCD, Tourette's, ADHD, and depression. And I really believe that that is not a sentence she said to anybody that is not in her immediate family. Because I could be reading too much into this, but as I'm watching the episode, I can just see the fear. And it makes sense given what's said throughout the episode about her thoughts, about how intrusive they are, about how they've trapped her. And I'm so thankful that there are therapists involved. There's a clinical psychologist that kind of walks you through what OCD is, and then the person treating Lele. And they give us a little bit of a backstory. So let me go through the episode. Let me go through the episode and share my thoughts with you. The first shot you see after Lele reveals her diagnosis is her in the shower. At first I thought that was unnecessary, but until you see her turning off the shower. She turns the handle to turn the water off, and then she turns it back on. She turns it off and turns it on. She does this a total of 3 times. And you notice as the episode goes on, 3 is her number. I don't want to generalize because I know everybody's experience with OCD is different. It doesn't always manifest the same in every individual. But what I believe Lele describes in this video is ritualistic behavior. The performing of rituals is something that is supposed to help ease the mind of the OCD sufferer. They believe that they have to perform these rituals in order to keep doom from happening to themselves or others. Lele describes it as thoughts that cause her to do things that she doesn't want to do. I cannot imagine that turmoil. Touching things, like, I know nobody's going to get hurt, but I'm compelled to do these things it's beyond me. I have to do these things. And you see her struggle. There is a scene, it's shown on her cell phone, of her with her therapist. It's the Neurobehavioral Institute. And her therapist, I didn't write down her name, I apologize, She says that Lele came as an emergency case. She was stuck in a car. She couldn't function because she had to perform all of these rituals. And that is something that's brought up quite a few times in the episode, where her parents, her, and other people around her describe how she couldn't get out of the car unless she touched everything around her. She had to touch a door 3 times before leaving her room, and her mother says that that's how she knew she had an issue, when she kept touching the door before she left and entered her room. And her mother was like, why do you keep doing that? And she says, I have to do it. I have to do one for me, one for Poppy, and one for you. I can't imagine a young child having to deal with that type of mental anguish. Like, the clinical psychologist describes the cycle that a lot of people with OCD tend to deal with, because they're so exhausted and drained by their rituals and having to perform them, that they will seek out ways to avoid feeling. They will seek out ways to avoid being triggered. But that just exacerbates their triggers, and it makes them perform the rituals to maybe even a greater extent for either longer or a greater number of times than they would normally. And that's heavy. You saw my reaction. That's heavy. Not wanting to feel, not wanting to have to go out into the world or do things that you need to do for yourself because you fear being triggered. Lele's father says that he describes the things that she cannot do. Even though she's brilliant in other ways, he says that she cannot write a check. She cannot sign documents. She can't do this, that, and the third, because she has to perform these rituals. She's compelled to perform these rituals. And it can get to the point where you can't take care of yourself. It's extremely debilitating. There's a part in the episode that broke my heart. Seeing this one clip in this video made me want to hug her. I don't know what I would say. I just wanted to wrap my arms around her. It's a scene in her therapist's office where you see her stand up and sit down, and then her therapist puts her hands on her knees and is trying to talk her through her emotions. She's like, just feel it, just feel it. I see your toe, trying to curl. I know you want to get up. And Lele starts breaking down. She starts crying. She says, just let me do it one more time. I already did it twice. I just need to do it 3. It needs to be 3. Just please. And she starts weeping. I can only imagine feeling so overwhelmed. Even though everybody around you tells you you're going to be fine, you still have that tape playing that no, bad things are going to happen if I don't touch this doorknob, if I don't sing 5 notes up and down the scales 6 times before I leave the room. And to be completely honest, y'all know me, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I just felt for her. I felt for her. They go into her childhood, and they talk about how she suffered from quite a few learning disabilities. So school was very difficult for her. She didn't have a lot of friends. They talk about how she was bullied in school because she was different, because one of her cousins describes her as very spontaneous. She shows drawings, like she spreads them out across her bedroom floor. And she and a few of her family members tell about how when she was younger, she basically storyboarded her life, drawing and painting. That's how she expressed herself, because she had such difficulty expressing herself verbally. She would say, if I want pizza, she would draw a picture of the family with pizza, the family eating pizza. If she wanted to see her parents kiss, she holds up a picture, one with her mother and father standing next to each other, and another picture with them kissing, and she would show them, and she's, this is what I want. And y'all know me, I'm a talker. I am rarely at a loss for words. So the idea of not being able to express yourself and feeling more comfortable expressing yourself, the effort that would have to take in order to draw one picture and go from the next to express a complete thought. It's just, it sounds exhausting. Again, a young child doing this. a young child not even really understanding why she has to do these. Like, is it that she feels more comfortable drawing rather than speaking it? Does she feel that there will be less consequences if she draws it? Will it be a more positive outcome if it's presented in this way? I don't know. And I don't even know if as a child she knew. That's just what she did. They talk about how she found Vine and how she used Vine to make friends and to connect with people. And I think that's basically all social media is. A lot of people are on social media, not just to keep in contact with the people already in their life, but to meet new people, to connect with like-minded individuals and find community. So that's a good thing. It can be a good thing. It's supposed to be a good thing. Knowing what I know of Lele and things that have come up about her, don't necessarily know if that it was the best thing for her. It was in the beginning, the way they talk about it, the way it did help her come out of her shell a bit. But then you hear about her spending all of her free time making vines. And if you remember Vine was only 6 second, not 6 minutes, 6 second videos. And they talk about how Lele would spend all of her free time making vines. She would skip lunch at school to go make vines. As soon as she came home, she didn't want to do homework. This is her mother saying this. She didn't want to do homework. She just went and make the vines. One of her cousins said they used to show up. She used to show up at their house unannounced and be like, "Hey, can you help me make this video?" And that's all she wanted to do. And her father says, like, no, this was her job. But I see that as, yeah, this was how she found another way of expressing herself. It was pictures, like when she was a child, but it was video. So I get it. I've been in that zone too, not to that extent, because they go in to talk about how her OCD came out while she was making vines. And she was like, no, it has to be perfect. I have to be hit perfect. I have to stick this landing perfect. This joke has to land like this. And she was like, even though people around me would be like, no, it's perfect. You know, everything is exactly the way you wanted it. She was like, no, I have to do it again. It has to be perfect. And there's a whole discussion about Leles OCD and the struggles that she has with being a perfectionist. I honestly don't think those are two separate things. It's like, I honestly think that those are two separate things. One may be caused by the other. One may be exacerbated by the other, rather. And I can say that as far as perfectionism goes, I've struggled with that too. It's only been, I want to say, in the last 3 years that I've finally let that go. And I think that that had a lot to do with me being in therapy. Lele's therapist says it so perfectly. She's like, the thing with the perfectionism is it's not just, I want everything to be perfect. If everything is not perfect, I don't even want to put it out. That's where I related. Anybody that knows me and has known me for any amount of time knows that's something that I've struggled with. I want to be good at everything that I do. So if I try a new thing and within 2 days I'm not absolutely the best at it, I don't want to do it anymore. And Lele actually goes into talking about comparing herself and how that affects her negatively. She's like, she can't even scroll through Instagram without it affecting her. She's like, she'll scroll through Instagram and she'll see somebody's hair and like, their hair is better than mine, and she'll fixate on it. She'll see somebody who has a mole in the same place as her, but it's bigger or smaller, and she'll fixate on it. She's like, I can't stop myself. I have a problem with comparison too. Thankfully, through therapy, I've been able to slowly let that go more and more day by day. But knowing that that is either caused by or exacerbated by her OCD, I can't imagine the extent that is to where it would completely stop you in your tracks and that would be all you think about. I cannot imagine to what lengths she has gone through in order to feel equal to instead of lesser than. This 26-minute video, I just watched it for the second time to make this video. It's affected me, and I'm glad it did, because not only is it making me look at this person who I've only heard negative things about. I believe the message of at least this first episode is, here I am. I have all of the success, but this is what I struggle with. On the same token, it's also, I'm struggling with all of these things, but I'm still pursuing my dreams. And that's a powerful message, especially since Lele's audience is so young. The fact that, I think I said it before, the fact that this video came out a week ago and I've seen no chatter about it. I feel that there needs to be eyes on this video outside of Lele's audience because it's important. People need to know other stories, other struggles, so that there can be this building of empathy. There's so much work that continues to need to be done to destigmatize mental health and seeking help. And this is another voice added to that community from someone that you don't really expect. And I think that might have been why it shocked me and moved me the way that it did. I'm rooting for her. I really am now. I hope she continues the series. I know the next episode is coming out tomorrow, and yes, I will talk about it. I encourage her to keep sharing, no matter the blowback. I can't even imagine how nerve-wracking it was to do this project and push it out because of the reputation that she already has. So I applaud her. I know there are people who struggle with these things that don't have the resources that she does. But again, I feel it was important for her to do this so that awareness is raised. If I remember, I will link the video down below. I encourage you to watch it. I would just like to say to Lele, if she sees this, I don't know how many episodes this series is, but I hope you keep sharing. I hope you keep speaking up. Thank you for showing the steps that you're taking to live your life and chase your dreams. And I'm going to end it there. I'm going to be pushing out a lot of content since there wasn't a lot from me last week, so I will more than likely see you tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit more downbeat, but I felt like that was more appropriate. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All of those good things. There are a million videos you could have watched today. I humbly thank you for coming to Slay.